comeback for Vasilev and Lukic! A banger of a strike for Jovan Lukic's first MLS goal!
It's fallen out to Westfield! Oh, wow! He's nearly taken the roof of the net off! Philadelphia pounce again!
Who gets his goal on his Union debut? The record signing! Off and running in his first appearance for the club! Hello and welcome to the Free Kick Podcast. My name is Todd, and I don't know about you guys, but it was a struggle waking up Monday morning after Sunday night. It's Philadelphia Union's 4-2 penalty kick shootout win against the Chicago Fire, and yeah, it's a game that I think felt like a playoff game, right, Jose? I think it's a game before the game started. You felt the energy, you felt the buzz around the stadium, the fans in the seats extremely early, seeing the blue towels waved. I love seeing that for the playoffs. Every time the Union give out these towels, it's playoff soccer. And it's interesting to me. The last episode, we talked with Dave Leno about how just the radio, the local TV coverage won't give the Union any bit of time. But you can't tell me that Philadelphia is not a soccer city after seeing how that place packed up Subaru Park one Sunday night. And yeah, we got treated to extra soccer with a penalty shootout win, the Union's first penalty shootout win since 2024 against Mazatlan and Leagues Cup last year. So we have a bit of news to talk about. I thought we'd come in here and talk about Kai Wagner, Jacob Glesnes, and Tristan Blackman all being nominated for the Defender of the Year. We found out today who won Defender of the Year, and we'll go ahead and give our thoughts from Sunday night's a game with topics such as early time wasting from Chicago Fire, finding space down the right side of the field, Mikal Uhre once again making an impact off the bench. Is it good that the Union went to penalty kicks in the first playoff game? And of course, blunder of the week. But without further ado, Jose Nunez, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I agree with you. Sunday, although albeit a favorable time slot on a weekend. I guess, what was it? Ultimately, 5:50, 6 o'clock kickoff, I guess, right? Originally, I think advertised at 5:30. Pretty much a lie through and through, but it was good, man. Weather could not have been any better. It was beautiful outside in Chester, and I think you're right. It's hard to deny or find a way that anyone can be right if they were to say that Philadelphia is not a soccer city, because that stadium was bumping. Actually, colleagues of mine from Haverford were there at the game. I didn't even realize it, which was great. Friends of mine that I didn't realize were going went, and they hit me up once they were at the stadium. So it was fun to see, and a lot to dissect, including, I think, as I worded anyways on my piece for MLS soccer.com, what a golazo that Jack Elliott put in there. But certainly more than just that to talk about tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, we do have a couple clips, and I do say a couple. It's like 5 or 6 to play from Indiana Vasilev, Brelly Cornell, and then of course blunder of the week, because blunder of the week is actually a topic I don't think I'm going to lead. Let Jose Nunez do the honors, and somehow Jose Nunez wound up making the story, or I don't think Jose went out to make blunder of the week about himself, but certainly people in the social media sphere decided to make blunder of the week about Jose Nunez. So yeah, look forward to talking about that later on in the show. But with that said, let's get straight into the news. All right, so the first and only bit of news, I tease it. Vancouver Whitecaps center back Tristan Blackman wins MLS Defender of the Year, beating Jacob Glesnes and Kai Wagner. And I think it was always going to be a tough stretch for either one of those Union players. I believe that they were going to take votes away from each other. And you look at what the MLS communications department released today, the voting for how that went. You guys can see it here on the stream. Hopefully it's not too small for you guys, but Tristan Blackman got 22.03% of the media votes, followed by Jacob Glesnes at 10.73, and then Kai Wagner at 13.5%. You look at the player vote, Blackman 8.3, Glesnes 10, and then Kai Wagner 4. Club vote 36% for Tristan Blackman, 24% for Jacob Glesnes, 12% for Kai Wagner, and it comes out for a total of 22% for Tristan Blackman, 15% for Jacob Glesnes, and Kai Wagner finishing last at 9%. And I'll go ahead and get your thoughts here in a second, Jose, but I'm not shocked by this. I knew these two players would take votes away from each other, but let's be honest. And I don't know if you had a vote. I certainly didn't have a vote for the media portion of this, Jose, but I'm not shocked. I think there is a clear bias in the media voting for national team players whenever they're up for these awards. Tristan Blackman obviously makes his debut for the national team back in September. Vancouver had a fantastic season, not taking anything away from them, but I think we've seen over the years, whenever a national team player is up for awards like this in MLS, it tends to be a little bit of a media bias, and 22% of the vote from the media going to Tristan Blackman, and that's what helped him tremendously. Obviously, the club vote as well at 36%, but I find it hard to believe that he was the best defender in MLS this season, Jose.
I guess honestly, we just got to start. Can you keep that up? Actually, just got to start by saying congratulations to Blackman. Honestly, I know we may feel one way or another, but ultimately the vote is what it is, and he deserves it. He earned it. Whether whatever avenue or whatever people players siphoning from one another. Where I'm stuck is Kai only got 4% of the player vote is so fascinating to me. And I read that as people hate playing against this guy, or this guy talks so much shit during the game that the players absolutely hate him, because I am shocked for how impactful he is that only 4% of players saw him as the best defender in the league. That's shocking. And sure, he has his lapses. Obviously his role is yes, a defensive position, but I think he does 90% of his work at the top in terms of the offensive end. He's obviously had slip ups here and there in terms of his defensive duties, but he makes up for it and far more on his offensive output. I'm just so stuck at 4% player vote. It's almost comical. The media vote is second best, right? In terms of 22% thought he was better. I'm sorry, Blackman thought that he was better than the other, the rest. It's just fascinating to me. And I know I said it to you in a separate chat, but this is the most Union way to lose an award, right? This is such a Philadelphia Union way to cough up an award. But in all reality, A, congratulations to Blackman, and B, it's really cool, I believe, to have had two players that were equally, if not more, deserving than the ultimate winner of the entire accolade. So congrats to Kai and Glesnes for being even selected to be the finalist.
Yeah, that's a good point you bring up. Both players being nominated for Defender of the Year. I would imagine that both of them get into Team of the Year. Yeah, it's called Team of the Year, not Team of the Match Day. I don't know. Team of the Year, it should be, right? Or Best 11, I think it's called, actually. They should get in there, I would imagine, right? Because I would think that it's probably going to be Alex Freeman, Blackman, Glesnes, and Kai Wagner. But maybe we get shocked, like maybe we are a little bit with this award. I agree with you with Kai Wagner. For him, looking at it right here on FootMob and Football Reference, Kai Wagner had the 5th most chances created in MLS this season, and that's as a left back. Everybody else is midfielders. You have Christian Espinoza with San Jose, 117 key passes, chances created. Carlos Heel, 102. Marcel Hartel with St. Louis, 99. Martin Ojeda, 98 with Orlando City. And then Kai Wagner, number 5 at 93. Jack McGlynn, former Philadelphia Union player, number 7 on that list with 84. And yeah, I'm not surprised to see Jack in the top 10. We knew once you get into a possession-based system, he's going to be creating those chances. We saw last year he makes those chances too for the Union. Him and Kai Wagner, number 1 and 2 for chances created last year for the Union. But yeah, as a left back, number 5 most chances created, leads the Union in assists. I mean, it's unreal. And yes, a lot of those chances created from Kai comes from corner kicks. He is primarily the set piece taker on this team. So yeah, those numbers are going to be inflated a little bit. But at the same time, too, like, don't take anything away from a left back. And I feel like this is just typical Kai Wagner. Year in, year out, he produces offensively for the Union. And I kind of wish, Jose, that this would have came out prior to the game against Chicago Fire. I'm sure Kai, if we went down in training this week, he would have some choice words. I think Kai is a player that's not afraid to let the media know how he's feeling. You certainly know that, Jose, with the clips that you've got from him over the years. But maybe this is a good thing for the Union that Kai Wagner didn't wind up winning this award, because now he'll play the playoffs, I would imagine, with an extra chip on the shoulder. This team doesn't need any more motivation as the underdogs. You hear Bradley Cornell always say that they want to be the hunters, not the hunted. And so now here you have Kai Wagner, Jacob Glesnes, both arguably with a shout for being Defender of the Year, getting snubbed to Tristan Blackman. I think that's going to give this team extra motivation, and especially a player like Kai Wagner.
You would think so, but I feel like Kai is one of those players that doesn't need any extra motivation. It's already built in and then some, right? And the way that he plays and the way that he handles himself, certainly the way he talks to the press, though I think he might have learned his lesson. He's kind of scaled it back a little bit in terms of his public frustrations with things internally or externally, etc. But it is disappointing in a way. But then again, this is, I hate to say it, there was a popularity vote here, right? Especially within the press, and sure, the players, etc., all around. So what can you do? It is what it is, and I think both Glesnes and Kai. I'm actually more shocked that Glesnes wasn't considered for comeback player of the year, considering the season that he had last year. But that's a completely different story. I think both Glesnes and Kai would be totally fine, not even being selected to this accolade if they go on to win. If dropping off of it means that they win the MLS Cup this year, so they move. It is what it is. There you go. I'm Mikey. You're muted, Todd.
What Mike said, he said he can keep the individual award. Our boys will take the cup. And yeah, I mean, Bradley Cornell would say the same thing too. It doesn't matter about the individual awards. The ultimate goal is MLS Cup. They already got silverware this year with the Supporter Shield, but as we know, this team wants more. And they get off to a good start with a 4-2 penalty win over Chicago Fire. But before we talk about that, one last thing I want to bring up about this, Jose, is I don't know if you saw this on Twitter, and shout out to Bry Wagner for pulling this up for FootMob and everything. That way I didn't have to go and search. So it's just the stats of Jacob Glesnes and Tristan Blackman. Glesnes, 12 clean sheets in the games that he played, 1.8 interceptions per game, tackles per game, 1.6, balls recovered, 3.5, dribble pass per game, 0.6, clearances per game, 5.3, block shots, 0.8, errors leading to shot, 0, errors leading to goal, 0, penalties committed, 1. You look at Tristan Blackman, 8 clean sheets, 1.1 interceptions per game, 1 tackle per game, possessions 1 in the finals, third 0, because obviously he's a center back. Balls recovered per game, 3.6, dribble pass, 0.08, which is pretty impressive. Clearances 4.4, block shots 0.4, errors leading to shot 2, errors leading to goal 1, penalties committed. And looking at that, I mean, Glesnes has the better defensive numbers, and yes, obviously stats don't tell the whole story, but I mean, it goes back to what I think, Jose, that it's a little bit of a clear bias. I mean, MLS talked about it, first MLS also All-Star appearance this year, earned his first call-up, like I said, back in September with the national team, and then led Vancouver to a fantastic season in the Western Conference. But yeah, I don't know what some of these people in the media look at. I don't know what some of these clubs looked at when the numbers on paper, Glazers had the better numbers. So yeah, I just thought that was interesting that Bry brought up the FootMob stats, compare them, and yeah, I mean it's not really close. Glazers has the better stats here.
Yeah, I guess the final thought I would have on this whole thing, and again, I think we just want to shield ourselves from any being hypocrites or being insensitive, right? The guy won the award, and it is what it
Yeah.
is. There's no ifs or buts about it. It almost feels like a lame season of accolades because having seen the goal of the season, the Sonny free kick, watching that video of all the goals that were nominated, to which I contributed some, if I recall. MLS did put out the call to both contributors and I think contracted writers and in-house writers, etc. Like go through your brain. What were some of the goals that stand out? What were some of the saves that stand out? I nominated 2 saves that were against Damiani, the Sean Johnson one and Brad Guzan one. Actually, the Johnson one made it to the reel. The Brad Guzan did not, which I found kind of shocking considering it being his last season. But maybe they didn't know at the time that he was considering retiring. But some of these selections just kind of feel goofy, right? The Sonny free kick I didn't find all that impressive compared to the other goals that were nominated, and then the was it the Nashville keeper that had the save of the year? I think Joe Willis had the save of the year. It was multiple saves in like
Oh
4 or 5 seconds. But that's fine. But having seen some of the other saves that were nominated, never mind submitted, I'm thinking to myself, I don't know. I think Sean Johnson diving to his right, keeping a scissors kick out of the top 90 bin seems a little more impressive, but it is what it is. Congratulations to anybody and everybody who got an accolade this year. And Sean Johnson's not in the playoffs.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, it was
Here's
Celentano.
Guzan.
It's true. Celentano against Nashville is what got save of the year. His
Thank
double
you.
save. But yeah, I mean that Sean Johnson one, I don't even think a lot of people remember that save. And there was a fantastic save on fantastic effort for Damiani. And you've been on the show multiple times talking about. Imagine if some of those goalkeepers don't save those strong shots from Damiani, people wouldn't be complaining about his lack of goals. I mean, his XG is much higher than his goals are. He just came out with goalkeepers making fantastic saves, and that Sean Johnson one was absolutely one of those strong saves. But regardless, the Union take care of business in game 1 against Chicago Fire after the game ends 2-2 in regulation, with Indy Vasilev, Milan Alaski scoring in 5 minutes for the Union, Jonathan Bamba and Jack Elliott scoring in the final 11 minutes of this game to send it to penalty kicks as the Union hold on and win 4-2 after Mikel Uhre and Jack Elliott both miss the opening penalty kick in this game. Before we get into time-wasting tactics, Jose, attacking down the right side, Mikel Uhre's impact off the bench, and then the penalties and whatnot. You had mentioned earlier the Jack Elliott goal. And I think that's probably a good place to start because Jack Elliott comes into this game wearing the captain's armband. You see his eye all taped up after that black eye, and it's like, man, how can this guy play? How can this guy see? You start seeing Jack Elliott taking throw-ins as they put up Gutman farther down the field and everything. I'm like, this is so goofy. And then maybe to some fans, even more goofier to see Jack Elliott strike a ball that cleanly well outside the 18-yard box. But if you followed Jack Elliott from his West Virginia days, if you followed anything that Marlon LeBlanc or Jim Curtin had said, they'd always said that he's one of the better strikers of the ball on the team because he grew up playing as a striker. He had that technique, and he couldn't have hit a better strike outside the 18 than he did to tie that game up.
Yeah, that goal was unbelievable. I mean, we were, or I should say, I was fortunate enough. Obviously, you were there too, but to see Alex Calabrese, Men in Red, out in Chicago, does an incredible job with Joe Schatz, I believe is his name, who was along with him, traveling to Chester. So if you can, please go and find their content and subscribe, like, etc. When independent reporters go out of their way to travel the way that those two do, or that outlet does, they certainly deserve some sort of support, even if it's a different team. But I remember looking at Alex when that went in. I'm thinking, the hell was that? What just happened? Like this is unbelievable. But yeah, I even Alex was confused, and I think you and I were also confused when they were having a little spat about who was going to take the free kick. I don't know if that was a bit, right, or if it was all real. I'm not sure. Alex wasn't sure either, and he's watched every single minute of that team play this year and reported on every single minute of the team play. But ultimately, a pretty bad free kick that ultimately finds its way to Jack, and Jack just, I don't know. I often catch myself going on Instagram, Todd, and I swear there's a point to this. And you see the ball, the way that people pass the ball to one another, whether it's professionals or just genuine, just adult players, whatever. And it's a nice, like, dewy grass, and they just slice the ball on the ground, and it just skips, doesn't really spin too much. That's exactly the way that Jack hit it. And it just kind of nestled its way and curled its way across a few legs, and ultimately took Andre Blake by surprise. And it could not have been a better goal to sort of, in very, once again, Union fashion, them cough up what was a 2-0, I don't know, in control, sort of just cruising to the end. But it's never easy with this team. Never, ever easy.
Yeah, it never is easy. And Indiana Vassilev had talked after the game where I had asked him the question where, look, I still see it as a positive. You never want to concede 2 goals. I totally get that. You give up 2 goals, but they're set piece goals. Those are so correctable during film sessions, film studies. The Union's one of the better teams defending set pieces. The opening goal to Bamba, Jack Elliott gets a header to it, hits off of the post, and then it's a free ball for Jonathan Bamba just to hit into the back of the net. I know the Union thought that they had a handball on Andrew Gutman, and we had a little bit of a check at VAR, but they ultimately decided not to send Sergei Belko. Is that his last name? I forget his last name.
It might be. I threw away my name sheet as soon as I got done at the stadium. It was gone.
Boyoko? I'm probably wrong. Yeah, and he decided, yep, I'm not going to go to the monitor. The VAR tells me not to go to the monitor. Goal given. And then, obviously, the Union do well to block the Jonathan Bamba strike, but then the ball falls to Jack Elliott, and that's just not getting out there quick enough to close that down. Jack Elliott, it seemed like, had 1,000 years to go ahead and just line that shot up, keep it low on the ground, and how it gets through all that traffic, I'm not too sure. But, again, I'm not concerned by that because you don't give up any goals from open play. We knew coming into the playoffs, the Union had conceded the fewest amount of goals at 35, and I looked at it earlier today when I was finishing up my article. The Union, out of those 35 goals, only 19 of them came from open play, which was tied with Minnesota for fewest amount given. And prior to the game against Charlotte, the last regular season game, the Union had went 3 straight games without giving up a goal from open play. And so you look now in the last 4 games, or 4 out of 5 games, 4 out of the last 5, they've only given up 2 open play goals, and both of them came against Charlotte. Yes, you can see 2 goals against Chicago Fire, which you don't want to concede goals. I get it. But it's not from open play. You give up 5 shots on target, and only 3 of them came from open play. The Union forced Chicago to take shots from outside the box. A lot of blocks from the Union this game. A lot of shots coming in from angles where Chicago doesn't want to be hitting that ball from. So, in my opinion, that's a positive because you can correct the set piece goals. Your game plan worked. You got frustrated by Chicago, I think we would both say, and we can talk about that here in a little bit, and it eventually leads to a red card actually for Chicago Fire. But the Union kept their shape, I think, very well, Jose. And you had asked Bradley Cornell about Macania. I thought he was excellent on the night. Hugo Kuipers, I forgot he was out there on the field. He did absolutely nothing all game long. Took the fewest amount of touches for any outfield player that played 90 minutes. took 30, and that's a credit to the job that Jacob Glesnes and specifically Makanya did on Kuipers.
Yeah, I was thoroughly impressed, just through and through impressed on. And my question was really about the maturity and sort of the relaxed nature of his during that entire match, because I kept on finding moments where I think I even looked at you, and I certainly looked at Alex, and I said, "Can you believe this guy's this young?" The way that he's just holding the ball, letting Kuipers run past them because Kuipers is trying to get him to either pass it or thinks that he's going to pass and he's going to intercept, etc. But Magana wasn't falling for it. He was just tucking the ball, and maybe a Cruyff later going the other way and passing it along. Winning aerial duels against someone like Kuipers is also incredible. We haven't even talked about their formation off the ball there at the end, where at one point I think it was a 5-1-4, the way that they were lining up and blocking everything. But overall, I thought Makanya and Lukic were my two players of the match, and they weren't even really scorers, though you could argue that I don't know, by my contractor standards, Lukic had 2 assists, right?
Yeah, the hockey assist, that is very true. The outlet pass to the assister, and Jovan Lukic, and we can talk about those goals that the Union scored here in a second. Mike Barrera brings up a good point. He says, curious if Zenko Knuckle plays on Saturday. Can't be forgotten that the Union played the Fire while they were down their best player in one short rest. That may not be the case at this time. Jazz came in and said that Zenko Knuckle not playing saves the Union's bacon. And yeah, 15 goals, 15 assists. Obviously, huge season for Zenko Knuckle. I think he'll be hard done not winning newcomer of the year. I think that has to go to Andreas Dreyer, but it's got to be close. I would imagine had a fantastic season with San Diego, Dreyer that is. But yeah, there is something to be said. Zenko Knuckle was supposed to play this game, gets injured in the warmups, and I believe Greg Berhalter said after the game that it was a oblique strain, and we'll see if he plays on Saturday in Bridgeview against the Union. But I think Haile Selassie had a decent game. Obviously, he's not Zenko Knuckle. He's not having that double-double season that Philip had in his debut year with MLS. But that's still a very good Chicago Fire team, Jose. Jonathan Bamba, I think, was good on the night, had a goal, had the assist. I thought Andrew Gutman was excellent on the night. I think Jonathan Dean played a good game. The two defensive midfielders for Chicago, I think they were pretty solid too. I mean, the only player that I would say that didn't have a good night was Kuipers. Brian Gutierrez comes off the bench, makes a difference, and will he start in game 2 against Philadelphia Union? I was a little bit shocked that he didn't start this game just because of his performance against Orlando City to get Chicago into a playoff spot. But still, I guess kind of like the Union too. And we're talking about Mikael Uhre not starting this game. It is good to have difference makers coming off your bench, and that's exactly what Brian Gutierrez was this game for Chicago Fire. But I don't know, Jose. I don't know if Zenko Knuckle would have made that difference for Chicago Fire. Obviously, he's a big game player, 15 goals, 15 assists. But I gotta have belief that the Union's fullbacks would have handled him too. Maybe that's not the case whatsoever. I mean, you go back to the game back in August. I know it's a different formation, a different Chicago Fire team. How many times did the players tell us that in the locker room, Jose? Giving credit to a new look Chicago Fire since Greg Berhalter switched to that back 5, because don't forget too, Chicago prior to this game was on a 6-game unbeaten run. And I guess technically, Jose, you could say it's 7 games because it's a draw. Yes, they lose in penalty kicks, but yeah, they haven't lost since September 13th against New York City, which was 3-1. So this was definitely a Chicago Fire team coming in on form.
Yeah, and I can't find him, Todd, on social media. Joe Schatz, who was there. Don't know if you can, but he did have an update. He went to practice today. It was a recovery day, and I don't want to get it confused, but he did talk about Zenko Knuckle, but I don't want to get the report wrong. I'm pretty sure that he mentioned that he was sort of back out there, not necessarily practicing, but rather just doing things on his. I'm sorry.
He's in the gym. I see the tweet here.
There you go. He's in the gym doing things, which is already a step of that's a good step rather than not being present at all, right? So maybe he's week by week. Maybe the strain on his oblique, I think, is what it was, is far worse than they think, and that he's just there for like moral purpose, just lift up the spirits of the guys. Who knows? I think as Joe put it in his report, certainly find out more when it's media time ahead of the game. But to your point and thoughts here, Todd, I do think he makes a difference. He's such a dynamic player. Having watched him, I think I maybe have written 2 or 3 articles about the Chicago Fire throughout the season, and it's an interesting roller coaster that team has gone throughout the year. They do so well away from home, but when it comes to home, they don't do so well. But they came to Super Park, the fortress of Philadelphia, as people like to call it, and nearly walked away with a victory, even in this goofy format that they have with no extra time. Though you could argue that it's probably best that the Union didn't have extra time, considering how not great they are with a man-up advantage. But I do think that Zinkernagel does make some sort of difference, even for how great Glesnes and Macania were. And we have to give some credit to Danley, who often, you and I looked at each other and said, holy smokes, he is everywhere on this field, just clogging things up and forcing mistakes whenever Chicago finally had an opportunity to try to have some sort of possession, which wasn't often in the first half and certainly grew into the game as the game went on.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Let's go ahead and move topics to the time wasting tactics early on by Chicago Fire in this game. And I thought it was funny, right? I said to you, or I said to Jimmy King and Kyle Omni, maybe I said it to all you guys, but I said, man, I kind of feel bad for Chicago not coming away with this win, because their shithousery was definitely on point. Probably should have won them the game with just how much time they were wasting so early on in this game with their throw-ins, with their goal kicks, with the fouls and what have you. I mean, it eventually led to Kai Wagner getting upset. He's on the ground and gets up quickly, pushes Brian Gutierrez, and then Sergio Oriel comes over and then punches Kai Wagner in the throat. It's hilarious. Kai Wagner is upset with Gutierrez, and then he somehow gets Oriel just to completely lose his mind and hit him in his throat. And even after that moment, the Union, after conceding 2 goals, they had a chance to go on and win this game potentially in regular time. And they botch a counterattack and it goes to penalty kicks. But yeah, the time wasting tactics, I think, were pretty spot on by Chicago Fire against the Union. And it certainly did not surprise Bradley Cornell after the game. And this is what Bradley Cornell had to say on the time wasting tactics from Chicago Fire.
I think we put on a really good display of what we try to do. We worked in transition. We showed what we can do. We created chaos moments. We took opportunities when they came. Just unfortunate the way we give up the 2 moments, with the set piece at the end there. So, we were excited about the game. We were excited about the full game. And, it was a contrasting of 2 styles. One team just trying to waste every second and try and get out of here. Probably they got what they wanted, was penalties, but I'm glad that we got through on the other side.
And that's the thing, though, with this formation, though, Jose. It's like after the end of regulation, you go straight to penalty kicks. And I don't see anything wrong with that tactics. I mean, it's a little bit cowardly. Didn't Real Salt Lake do that last year or 2 years ago? And I forget who they upset. And people on social media were so upset with the way that Real Salt Lake approached that game. They go into
look at last night
and they completely get upset. Last night with Minnesota and Seattle, it's like,
that was ugly.
I respect it, right? If you're that confident in your penalties, why not? Yeah, you can say it's cowardly. Yeah, you can say it's anti-soccer, but it's the way that the format's set up. If you want to sit back deep all game, if you want to just bring your shithousery the whole game, then why not do it? Why not? And there's definitely moments where the Union were getting frustrated with the time wasting, with the fouls and everything. And fortunately for the Union, they don't get anybody sent off. If you had a bet, if somebody's going to get sent off, it probably would have been Kai Wagner just because of how emotional he is. And he's a player that gets Auriel sent off.
Yeah, it to me, it was just, and I say it every time, Todd. It's never the aggressor. It's always the response that gets the harsher penalty or infraction whenever it comes to this. And Orhel just sort of fell for it. On the penalty kicks, man, like the time wasting was insane, like unbelievably insane. Of yeah, Jack, just go ahead, go up and do a throw in. I don't know when the hell the last time I ever watched Jack take a throw in, even when he was in Philadelphia. I'm sure it's happened more than I think.
Never.
But
Never.
okay. But to me, it was one of those things of like, what am I watching? Like, what am I watching? And go back to the tactics. Without possession, at one point, Chicago was on a 5-1-4 formation. Just and obviously, like push and pull the way that the ball was going and who's going, who's not going, and they're pressing or they're shifting around of bodies. But it was just so telling of what they were trying to do. But to me, what's more impressive, Todd, is, and I think this is the Bradley Carnell mantra and the coaching staff, and I think just down the spine, believing in the system, that even when teams try to eliminate or try to take away or try to lower the opportunity for Philadelphia to play the way that they want to play, Philadelphia finds a way to lean their shoulder into it hard and still end up doing what they're really good at, right? Think about those 2 goals. Thank you to you for pointing it out. From the Lukic interception to Indiana Vassilev scoring, 11, 14 seconds, whatever the hell it was, an unbelievable flip of the script there with the way that it went. Fast forward to the second goal with Iloski just getting the ball up there after another interception. Very quick turnovers, players who I think, I don't know how you coach this. I would love to hear Bradley how he coaches the idea that, and this is the Mike Barrera comparing American football to soccer, but the way that some of these guys, as soon as they see that there's an interception, they go complete out route. They just start sprinting because they know that they get further ahead, the better, right? They get further ahead, the more likely they are to go and score a ball here. Like, look at this. Immediately, boom. The way that he just sprints. Iloski, as soon as the interception happens, Iloski's like, all right, I'm out. I'm going to go ahead. And what a finish. Unbelievable finish. So, yeah, I can't help but appreciate that once again, no matter what teams are throwing at Philadelphia, at least in this match, I should say, Chicago threw at Philadelphia, they just leaned their shoulder even harder into the way that they play, and then they ended up surviving, right? Even if it took penalties.
Yeah, exactly. And you had transitioned into the goals, and rightly so, pointing out the interception, 14 seconds from Lukic's interception in the Union's defensive half of the field. He finds the outlet pass out wide to Mikael Uhre, and then Uhre, who cuts in onto his left foot, he said, Jack Elliott's probably expecting me to have it on my right foot. I'm going to try something different. And fortunately for him, it's a great cross to the back post for Indiana Vassilev, and it's a good tidy finish there by Vassilev at the back post. But that is the Philadelphia Union. You heard Bradley Carnell say in that opening clip, a lot of great transition moments, a lot of chaotic moments. And that's Philadelphia Union soccer. You might not like it. It might not be the most attractive brand of soccer, but it works for them. It's got them to this point, and they're not going to shy away from that moment. They're not going to shy away from how they want to play. And I have no issues with that. I mean, the Union should continue to play that brand of soccer. For people who aren't watching it live, we're looking at the opening goal, the interception right there from Lukic. And as soon as he gets it, it's that forward ball into Iloski. And then Iloski is just playing that 1v1 against Mikael Uhre, cuts inside right there on his left foot. And then it's the perfect ball to the back post. Great touchdown by Indy. Then a strong left-footed finish. I mean, that 14 seconds. Bradley Carnell says all the time, right, Jose? we want to score or have a chance within 10 seconds of intercepting the ball. Okay, it goes a little bit longer than Bradley Cornell would have liked, but still, he'll be delighted with that goal. It's the interception. And what does Lukic do? He doesn't think about, okay, let me pass backwards, let me pass side to side. I'm looking for that forward pass. You look at the goal with Milan Alaski. It's the same thing, right? The pressure from Danley John Jock and Frankie Westfield. They win the ball back for the Union, and then Lukic gets the ball, and it's forward pass. I'm always looking to play forward, and we've seen that so much this often with Lukic. Being that creator, yeah, he's in number 6. He does so much defensively, but his vision is unbelievable. The way he can thread these passes, unbelievable. You're right, Jose. It's a fantastic hit by Alaski to put the Union up 2-0. Similar to what we saw with Mikal Uhre, cutting in another 1v1 situation. And that's always going to be the risk for Chicago Fire, playing in a back 5, leaving your center backs in 1v1 opportunities. And the Union absolutely took advantage of that. And this is something I believe in game 2, the Union are going to continue to look to exploit. I expect Chicago to continue to go with this formation because 7 games unbeaten so far. Since they've switched to playing in a back 5, they look a much better team. But it does definitely open up opportunities for the Union, getting their center backs in 1v1 situations. The pressure that Milan and Indiana Vassilev brings, it opens up so many opportunities. And maybe part of that's why Mikal Uhre came off the bench and had an opportunity, is because of the work that the front 2 did, putting on the pressure, the work that the 2 number 10s did, putting on pressure, tiring out Chicago Fire. But yeah, you're absolutely right, Jose. I mean, it starts with the pressure. It starts with the interceptions and the Union wanting to play forward, pushing that ball as quickly as possible up front.
Can you play the Lasky one more time?
Yeah, no problem.
And what I want to show here is just watch Danley. Okay, he doesn't really have much to do with this here at this point, right?
Yeah.
But look at him go. He just knows I got a motor. Like
be an option.
Yeah, just be an option. He has nothing. He has no business running that hard up the middle, considering it's Alaski, and shoot or shoot. Alaski is not likely to pass that ball up, especially in a one-on-one. But again, this goes back to the mentality, and I think the appetite that these guys have to be good teammates and be good guys to one another and just play well, because again, he just has no business sprinting that hard to be on the at the penalty spot for a drop back, right? If I'm Danley, I'm like, okay, well, we're up 1-0, 74th minute. Maybe I got to just leave something in the tank. I don't need to make a 35, 40-yard run there, So again, I think it just goes to show the mentality of this team and just how much they want to be there for one another. And I know that sounds a little hyperbolic and a little flowery, but nonetheless, I think it's so emblematic of what this team is like this year.
Yeah, and this is Bradley Cornell talking about attacking one of the outsides with Chicago pushing their fullbacks up.
Well, we've seen all season long they've given up goals late, right? And we knew this at halftime. We spoke about it, where we can pick up some spots, and I think Milan and Indy picked up those spots. They're starting to get a little bit more forward with their outside backs, and those were some areas to exploit. So, yeah.
Yeah, and you heard Bradley say, I mean, it goes into halftime tied 0-0. They knew that Chicago conceded a lot of goals in the second half. Chicago conceded 34 goals in the second half during the regular season, which was the 3rd most in MLS this season. So opportunities were always going to present themselves. 11 goals conceded for Chicago in the final 15 minutes. But it's about taking advantage of those opportunities, and the Union absolutely did take advantage there in the 70th and 75th minute with quick transition goals. You win the ball back and you're looking forward. Indiana Vassilev shared similar thoughts to Bradley Cornell on what clicked in the second half compared to the first half.
I honestly think it's just constant pressure. I think it's tough to play against. It's tough to go 0-0 against our team so far into the match. Pressure is going to continue to come. We want to put teams under pressure. That's our style. That's our game model. If you don't know it, surprise. We want to put teams under pressure. We're going to continue to do it for 90 minutes. That's what we try and do, and I think it just wears teams down. I think that's all I can say. Whether it comes from the left or the right, I think we just wear teams down. And don't get me wrong, we are beatable, but we're going to go down our way.
And that's exactly it, right? The Union aren't going to get away from their ideology. They're going to play this brand of soccer. They're not going to hold on to possession. They're going to try to quickly put that pressure on you in your defensive half of the field, win that ball back. And yeah, the pressure didn't really come on the first goal from the Union. Came in their defensive half of the field with Dalen John Jock and Frankie Westfield putting the pressure on, winning the ball back. You had Lukic intercepting the ball in your defensive half. So we did see 2 times in the first half where the Union didn't really have passing options in the first half. They give away the ball and then they're quickly just pouncing on you, trying to win that ball back. And so, yeah, I agree. I think that is the way the Union are going to play. And Indy's right. They're beatable. We've seen the Union lose a couple games this year, Jose. Almost lost this game against Chicago, but they're going to do it playing their brand of soccer.
It's nice to see Philadelphia be the one to give it to a team, meaning, the Union have been recipients of losing to specific teams three times in a single year across multiple competitions. But here, the Philadelphia Union are potentially going to slap a 4th one on them. So congratulations to them. And again, I think Vasilev's comments are just word for word what I basically said, right? A team that's gonna really lean hard into what they do, how they play, and how they play well. And if that doesn't work, that's okay. At least they tried what they're very, very good at. And if it didn't work on the night, that's okay.
So I'm so confused right now, Jose.
Why?
I got a notification on StreamYard that that the Facebook took down the stream, and
They don't like us on Facebook.
yeah, no, some company that's claiming to own some company called WinSport, never heard of them, is claiming to own the MLS clips that I just showed. Not sure how they can claim that they own MLS clips when we know that that's Apple and MLS, but okay. Apparently apparently they have the right to say that they own MLS clips, but look, that's neither here. Not many people are tuning in on Facebook, so it's all good. We're still live on YouTube and Twitter where more people check in. So maybe I shared the clips a little bit too much there. I don't care though. We're live where it matters most. But yeah, the Union will continue to just play the brand of soccer, attack the right side of the field, and I've seen a couple comments on it tonight, and yeah, Mikael Uhre, once again, instant impact off the bench for the Union. Bradley Cornell had told us the reason why he didn't start this game is a medical issue. He didn't dive into it. I didn't question him because let's face it, if Bradley Cornell wanted to say what the issue was, he wouldn't have said medical issue. He would have said it was X injury. It was this. Medical issues pretty bland, pretty bleak, and we don't need to dive into that because, like I said, if he wanted us to know, he would have told us. He does not tell us, and that's fine and everything. Mikael still comes into this game, plays a significant role coming off the bench in the 64th minute. Instant impact, like I said, once again, Jose. I mean, you see him 1v1 against Jack Elliott there, crossing the ball to Indiana Vassilev, and this is what Mikael Uhre brings, right, Jose? Is those runs in behind the back line, 1v1 against center backs is where he's at his best. And because of that, I thought that, yeah, he should probably start this game coming in. 2 goals, 3 assists in his last 3. Him and Damiani had started the last 2 games together. It really seemed like they were building that chemistry. And I guess my question to you would be, should Uhre start the next game, assuming that he's good to go, playing 45 plus minutes, or would you bring him off the bench? I've seen people online on social media say, yeah, continue to bring him off the bench. He's a game changer. But I've also seen the argument that he should start. If you were Bradley Cornell, I mean, how would you approach that?
Do not put me in Bradley Cornell shoes. It's hard to mess with something that's currently working, right? I mean, he came in off the bench, injury or no injury. He's been doing that for a little bit here, and it has proved right. But I totally guess the idea. I get the idea of just starting him off the rip and seeing what he can do. But I do sense that he is that type of player that he just has an edge coming off of the bench, right? Especially with that speed, that north-south speed, because he's gonna beat you on the 100-meter sprint. He's not gonna beat you on like the back and forth, that type of thing, the left and right movement. I I I also wonder how much Cornell wants to try to get Ty Baribo going, right? Imagine a world where Ty Baribo starts against Chicago in Chicago, scores 2. Then there's this massive window of time, right? Because the next game would be what, November in the teens? If the Union win this week, Todd? What would it be, like November 19, 20? I don't remember when it would be.
22nd, I believe.
Oh my God. November 22nd. So a little bit, obviously less than a month. Just insane. Oh man, that when you put that into perspective, that is right before Thanksgiving is when they finally start playing again. Should they win against Chicago? I almost wonder if it's not so bad that they go and have a third game, right? Because you kind of keep things moving rather than just sitting still waiting until November 22nd or whatever. But back to the question, I wonder how much Cornell wants to get Ty Baribo going. I think Ty would want to get finally going. He obviously had an incredible season, certainly the start of the season with his streak there, but has cooled off since. So I don't know. I guess I see it both ways, where he should be coming off the bench, but his performance has certainly given him a shout to maybe have a say whether he should be a starter or not.
Yeah, and I would get a couple comments here on StreamYard, on YouTube. Sorry, I was reading on Facebook. So the company that said that they own the content took away the claim, but yet it still won't let me stream back to Facebook for this. It's all good though. It's all good. So weird. And
Take him to court.
Right. The limited research that I did looks like this company's based out of Colombia, South America. So weird. So weird.
Why are you looking at me?
Am I?
No, I'm just kidding.
Jazz says Ua gasses out quickly. They need him to start, but he's more impactful off the pine. Mike Barrera says, I prefer Ua off the bench. Agreed with Jazz. He does well against those tired legs. And then the opposite, Michael says, Ua has earned the start. Sorry, Ty. And that's where I feel. I mean, I felt like him and Damiani were really building that chemistry. The last 2 games they had started together. You can kind of say 3 because he came in so early against DC United, and we saw the chemistry between those 2 down in DC as well as the chemistry with Milan and Ua. And I think that's key too, is we saw that initial pass from, and I'll show it again. I don't care. Who's going to take the video down? We see the initial pass after Lukic intercepts it. He goes into Milan, and Milan knows exactly where to find Ua. 1v1 against Jack Elliott, and he waits. He times his pass perfectly. Of course, Ua is going to get to that before Jack Elliott, and then absolutely just turns him inside out. It's a fantastic ball to the back post. And so because of the chemistry between Milan Alaski and Mikel Ua, because of those runs against center backs that Chicago is going to leave 1v1, I think you got to start Mikel Ua, assuming that he can play 45 plus minutes, assuming that his medical issues all cleared up and whatnot. And maybe we're going to answer from Bradley Cornell this week about that. I wouldn't expect it, but maybe we do. But yeah, still having a player like Mikel come off the bench, change a game as he did, and we've seen it multiple times, change the game against Colorado Rapids this year. Jose scored 2 goals earlier. Not earlier. It was 2, maybe 3 months ago in the regular season against Colorado. But yeah, still, I mean, we've seen this in Mikel. He has the ability to change games. And because of that, it's like, okay, he's going to start the next game. Doesn't start. And it's like, what does this guy need to do to start? Finally gets his opportunity after a strong performance down in DC. And it seemed like him and Damiani were really building that chemistry together. But nothing else I really want to add on Mikel Ua. I guess we can play another clip. What Bradley Cornell said that Ua brings to this team.
when the opposition legs get a little bit tired, then Mika comes in and creates a difference with his just running off the ball, physical presence. Bruno's done a great job for us, but we just felt we needed a little bit more impetus, athletically, meaning getting him behind and getting on the move a little bit more. So, and I think we created exactly that dynamism that we needed.
Yeah, so broadly just repeating what we've both said, Jose, so no need to go ahead and talk about that. But the last thing that I guess we can bring up, unless you have anything else you want to add on Mika Ua. Probably good.
I've nothing to add. I'm actually looking, and I meant to. I'm trying to find out what that Adidas jacket or sweater is that Bradley's wearing, because I want one. I want one so bad. It's sharp. It's sharp as hell, especially for the winter.
Absolutely, it's very, very nice Adidas jacket. But the last thing we're talking about, is it a good thing that the Union went to penalties in their first playoff game, Jose? Yeah, I guess that's my question to you. It's like, you never want to see the Union concede 2 goals, but again, I said it earlier in the show, it came from set pieces, not open play, so that's a positive. But is this a good thing that the Union went to the playoff to penalties? They wind up winning in penalties. I mentioned it in the intro. It's the first penalty kick shootout win since 2024 against Mazatlan in Leagues Cup. We remember the Union also played Colorado Rapids that year in penalties in the third place game, and they lost 3-2 or 3-1 maybe. I think it was only Jack Elliott who converted his penalty. You had Baribo miss a penalty in that game. Jack McGlynn, I want to say, missed a penalty in that game.
That was ugly.
Maybe McGlynn didn't take it. I'm looking at it now. It was Gazdag and Baribo missed after Mihailovic and Bassett scored. Maxu scores. Jack Elliott converts. Connor Ronan gets his penalty saved. And then for whatever reason, you had Olivier Bizo step up when it's 1-3 and Bizo gets his penalty saved. I mean, so weird. So, I mean, I think this is good, Jose. I really think this is good. High pressure situation after you blow a two goal lead and go straight to penalties, where I believe that the momentum is in Chicago's favor after Jack Elliott scores that late equalizing goal, and the Union prevail in penalties. So do you believe it's a good thing that the Union, despite blowing a 2-goal lead, go into penalties?
It's hard to say whether it's a positive or a negative. I think in a negative way is the way that they ended up getting there, right? Disappointing. Jack Elliott, incredibly dangerous in set pieces for his own team and against his own team. I remember the game where he scored 2 goals for Chicago, but also scored an own goal. So he ended up with 3 different goals on the night earlier this season. Obviously, incredibly involved with the first one. But maybe it's a good thing in terms of, I think it showed us some surprises. You and I looked at each other and started writing down, who do you think are going to be the 5 to take the penalty kicks? And neither of our lists had Frankie Westfield stepping up. It's just having the fucking confidence to go up in a playoff game and not a great penalty, but ultimately a penalty that went in, nail it down the middle. So I guess what I'm trying to say is it allowed us to see who is asking to take some of these penalty kicks, right? Who is confident enough to go up and take the penalty kicks. And we can talk about Bueno eventually at some point tonight, or maybe we won't, and that's okay. But I think that's a positive. And yeah, again, the negative, just the way that they more or less found a very Union way to collapse and take it to that stretch. But I guess one more positive about it all is they got it out of their system, maybe, right? This is good practice to go through a penalty shootout that actually matters. They didn't have Leagues Cup this year. I mean, think about all the Leagues Cup penalty shootouts that you've mentioned that maybe were not great or in favor of the Union that Colorado won. But there was that one year where they had did they have to end up playing Leagues Cup rules? I'm already hazy about it, but there was no extra time. They went straight to penalty kicks as well. Or did they have extra time and then penalty kicks?
Let's see if I can pull up one of those games real quick. I believe it was straight into penalties. Let's see if I can
was it DC or Red Bulls that they ended up going straight to penalty kicks at one point or another?
DC.
Okay. So some of those years, it feels like they've had more opportunities based on the competition to get to penalty kicks. If I remember correctly, the only match that went to penalty kicks this year was obviously U.S. Open Cup earlier in the year, right? One of their matches went into it. So it's good to get the rep where it actually matters and not just at the end of practice, for what it's worth.
Yeah, I agree. I'm looking. Wow, totally forgot. The Union went to penalty kicks in the group stage against Cruz Azul. Do you remember that? The Union won 5-3 on penalty. I completely forgot about that.
That was what competition? Was it CONCACAF?
It was League's Cup. Daniel Gazdag also messed a penalty in that game. Jack Elliott, Jose Martinez, Sam Adeniran all stepped up.
Yes.
And the Union lost penalties 5-3 because Daniel Gazdag missed his penalty in that.
Yes, I remember that because Carl Golbish, who was kind enough to let me leverage his pictures, he has this awesome picture of these guys looking defeated, just absolutely defeated with how crazy of a season that was.
Yeah, so that's 2 penalty shootout wins last year in the League's Cup that the Union lost. Cruz Azul and then Colorado Rapids. They beat Mazatlan 4-3. And so, I don't know. Maybe I'm convincing some of the listeners that it's a good thing that the Union's first playoff game this season went into penalties, so they could go ahead and get that experience again. And it's a new group, and a lot of these guys, this is the first time playing in a format like this. Certainly Frankie Westfields, and scores a huge penalty kick in that moment for the Union. We've seen Jesus Bueno be there for the Union. I mean, how many times did he step up for the Union? The Union, I'm looking at it right here, Jose. They played DC United and New York Red Bulls in both penalty matches in the League's Cup. They won 5-4 against DC United and then 4-3 against New York Red Bulls. You had against DC United, Bizer took a penalty in that game. Unbelievable. Daniel Gazdag, wow, no way. Missed a penalty. Wow, 3 penalties missed from Daniel Gazdag in the League's Cup the last 2 years. Unbelievable. Julian Kranz.
It's good.
And Jack McGlynn, Jesus Bueno, and Olivier Bizer scoring the game-winning penalty kick for the Union. Unbelievable. And then let's look at New York Red Bulls. Wow, I mean, some of these games you just completely erase from your mind. Jack Elliott, Mikel Uhr convert. Jack McGlynn misses a penalty. Julian Kranz converts, and then Jesus Bueno converts the game-winning penalty against the Red Bulls. So, yeah, I mean, the Union do have experience playing in penalty kicks thanks to the League's Cup, but they haven't always had the success. And so it is nice to see them get success on the night against Chicago Fire. And, of course, they get help from the woodwork with Joel Waterman hitting the crossbar, and Andre Blake showing up big on a save on Jack Elliott's penalty kick. And good. I mean, if you want to chime in, I completely forgot that I didn't save this video clip, so I was trying to download it real quick.
Oh, gotcha. Good. No,
talking about the penalties.
Yeah, no, I was shocked with Waterman's penalty kick, just atrocious. And Jack Elliott, who after the match did also comment, just he wasn't trying anything fancy. He wasn't even trying to trick anybody. It was just a flat out terrible penalty kick, is what he shared with Alex, who, again, Alex was kind enough to share the audio with me after the match. Just 2 awful penalty kicks. I find it amazing that even professionals go ahead and take penalties so poorly when, like, all you really have to do is pass it in with a little pace, right? Like, at least in my opinion, it's just pick a side and pass it as hard as you can. Like, I don't think it's that difficult. And I play soccer in adult league, sure, very different than professional, but I've in my playing time so far in my life, I've never ever put a penalty kick outside of the frame or hit the frame itself, and I'm proud of it.
I don't have the confidence to take a penalty, so you're a better man than me. I mean, I'll never forget my high school, my senior year. We go to a penalty shootout, and my coach was deciding the penalty kick takers, and I was a senior. I was like, nah. My friend Otis, who was a junior at the time, I was like, he's a better penalty kick taker. Put him in, and so he goes number 3, and wouldn't you know, misses his penalty kick. And my coach had told me after the game, he was like, man, if we would have went to round 6, you were next. And I'm so glad we didn't go to round 3, but round 6, because I didn't have the confidence to take a penalty kick. I probably would have skied it or not put it on. on frame and everything. And so, yeah, some of these guys are just big game moments, and Jesus Bueno is certainly that. And we learned too that Frankie Westfield's one of those players as well.
Frankie's Philly, with the fans at the end of the game, the way they pushed us, the way they supported us through those penalties, the way they stayed in the stands, after 90 was amazing. It was really good. And I think you've seen, Frankie step up in numerous occasions. I think when he came on the field, he showed a bit of intent, what we're trying to do. He created momentum, he created energy, and then he played a big role in the momentum of the game and the shift towards, grabbing those 2 goals.
Do you start Frankie game 2 against Chicago?
I was shocked he didn't start this game. Honestly, I was so shocked. He had an incredible tournament with the U20s. I don't know if there's something tactically that maybe Sean Rooney, I believe is his name, or Mitch Hildebrand, or whatever Cardinal staff saw that guided them to pick Nate over Frankie. But with the momentum that the guy has had all season, when you look at it as a whole, let alone in a microscope these last couple of weeks with an incredible U20 tournament, which obviously did not end the way that he wishes it would have ended. How do you not play him right away? Again, I didn't get that, but again, I don't know the full context of why the decision was made to not start him, but I would definitely start him. He brings an incredible edge to everything he does in terms of doesn't take any shit from people, gives out a lot of shit. I finally rewatched the penalty shootout, and I think it was being talked about the last couple of days, the stare down that he gave Brady after his penalty kick. Unbelievable way to look him up and down for an Olympic player that obviously they're, I think at some point going to be U.S. national team or whatever teammates at some point here. Just incredible edge that he brings, and I think Cornell's comment is spot on. He is very Philly, and it just shows what he can do to bring an X factor.
Yep. And 2 comments here from Michael. He says, pretty sure Nate was to cover Bamba over Frankie because of the speed of Bamba. Yeah, I would agree with that. And then Jazz says Nate's vertical ability against the Fire center backs on set pieces was probably appreciated in the opener. And I agree with that too. I mean, tall center back, especially Jack Elliott. Yeah, I could see both of those being reasons why Nathan Harriel got the start over Frankie Westfield. But yeah, for sure, Frankie Westfield, beautiful penalty. Did not have him as number, what was he, 2 or 3, Jose? I forget now. 2, 3, maybe 3.
I think he was 2. I don't know.
Oh man, dude. I mean, look, these games always come together. I'm trying to pull it out right here. I'm sure Jillian knows what number Kyle what number Frankie was. Yeah, he was number 2. Uwe misses, Elliott misses. Frankie slots it right down the middle at number 2. But yeah, we'll see. I wouldn't be against Frankie starting against Chicago game 2, but we shall see what happens. But that's pretty much our thoughts on the game. And let's go ahead. You can decide, Jose, how long we talk about this. I do have the clip played whenever you want me to play it. But we'll go ahead, talk about Blend of the Week. I'll let you go ahead and lead the charge here, Jose.
No. Yeah, I guess I sort of became the story and got clowned a little bit, and that's okay. But I think the sentiment's true, right? This whole thing with Michael Wilbon on ESPN, and sure, he is a older reporter, old school, right? Like soccer. Sure, he may watch whatever ESPN's touting out, whatever rights they may have with La Liga. I bet you he's not watching a whole lot of the Eredivisie or USL, which is again sort of what ESPN has up its sleeve. Barring select games that go to CBS Sports, Golazo, whatever. But I think the sentiment was, why not just act normal? And I think I asked that out of a lot of the media, not just national, but certainly domestic and meaning in the market of Philadelphia. There's no real reason to talk shit about the sport anymore, or even if it's the league or whatever. There's just no real sense when years and time is being contested amongst different mediums, never mind different outlets within the same medium. These people decide to try to alienate customers that they never get back because surprise, surprise, guess what came into my email the other day, Todd? ESPN, please email YouTube TV because we are contesting our contract with them and negotiating, and they want to take us off the air. We need you to call them and tell them that you want us on their lineup. It's like, well, maybe I have second thoughts, and it's kind of timely that you guys are sort of touting this line, right? Maybe don't act like dickheads about the sport, right? And some other people said, well, you want them to be genuine, you want them to be um, true to who they are. And I think that's all and great, but I think you can be that, but also be aware of the situation. ESPN has gone to great lengths to alter and change itself to appeal to a younger generation, and I think to a flaw, right? However you feel about Pat McAfee, however you feel about how heavy they advertise betting, goodness, the day that the whole betting scandal came out for the NBA, the morning shows on ESPN still had betting chyrons going at the bottom of the screen. That is unbelievable. It just cracked me up. So I guess what I'm trying to say is just, why can't you just say like, congrats, I guess, good luck to Messi, the GOAT, or something about, Nashville. Like, yeah, I love an underdog story. Whatever type of bullshit line you can come up with. You don't have to be a dickhead about the sport. And I guess maybe it's better aimed at the local sports news where they're actively just shitting on the Philadelphia Union when the reality is that they're fighting for ears left and right to actually listen to their radio shows instead of alienating would be probably a good idea. And Sexy Yogi, that this may be a weird take and that's okay, but I'm being honest and truthful to who I am. I want the sport to grow, and I don't think that some of these older journalists, sports personalities, etc., realize just how big the game is, and was reminded many times over the week or the weekend that this is genuinely the biggest sport in the world. So to act like idiots about it is just kind of weird when, again, they're just fighting to stay relevant.
Yeah, so here's the clip for people who maybe didn't see it on social media, or if you weren't listening to pardon the interruption, which what I've heard, the numbers have been going down over the years. So any way you can grow your viewership, you say something positive about soccer, maybe you have people show up for your program. Probably not, but this definitely turns people away.
Last one, the MLS playoffs are tonight. Inter Miami hosts Nashville SC. Who you got?
I got 3 TV screens, as you know.
Right.
None of them will have that.
Okay.
I'll have the World Series large. I'll have 2 NBA games flanking. I may click over to watch your boy wearing pink. I may do that.
Now, credit to them. They eventually did come out in a more recent show and talk more positive about it. And Taylor Twellman's the one who reached out to them and was apparently not happy with that take either, Jose. Maybe he wasn't as public as you on social media. Taylor Twellman used to work for ESPN, so obviously he has the connections. But yeah, their tone definitely changed after a lot of slander on social media. But I do think you're spot on, Jose. I think that's a great contender for Blender of the Week.
Not good.
Me or them, because I think it could go both, because obviously even within this very own program, we got people who think I'm an idiot, and that's okay. That's totally fine. My patented line and registered trademark of reasonable minds can differ, I think, is probably the best one to use here.
Yeah, your trademark you're saying right there. But I agree. I mean, the World Cup coming up, and these people are going to be all in. And it's the same in Philadelphia, I would imagine. They're going to see how packed that city gets, how passionate the city gets for soccer, people coming in all over the world. I'd be shocked if they don't at least mention it here and there on the radio. Maybe Philly's that set on never mentioning the sport of soccer on local radio, but how can you ignore it when all these people are going to come into your city? And for crying out loud, you have a round of 16 game on July 4th. I mean, how awesome is that? I mean, that is a fantastic storyline for the city of Philadelphia for the World Cup next year. And yeah, a lot of these old heads that are anti-soccer, I think, as we get closer and closer to MLS, we'll start seeing people get on board because it is the world game. It is the beautiful game. And we had mentioned at the beginning of the show, there is no denying that Philadelphia loves soccer with looking at how they showed out for game 1 of the best of 3 series against Chicago Fire this Sunday. But Jose, that's pretty much it. That's everything I have on the show. Anything else you want to add before you go ahead and plug away on social media?
Nothing to add on my end. I think if I can just start plugging, then had an MLS piece come out. One of those rare instances where I'm actually at the stadium where the Union actually want me to write something, or I should say the league wants me to write about the Union. You'd be surprised how often I end up being at the Union, but having to write about a game in Chicago or a game in Nashville or elsewhere, Dallas, it's happened too from time to time. So you can see that on MLSsoccer.com. At this point, it's buried over all the other gajillion stories about games that have happened since the Union game on Sunday at 6:00. Besides that, just on social media, doing some work, and good things are happening. Another outlet's interested in having some writing done for them, so I'll probably be doing that. And it's actually a paid opportunity, so it was a pleasant surprise today. So I gotta figure out whether I want to do it or not and how to go about it. So be on the lookout for that in the coming probably by the end of the week if I decide to do it.
Yeah, so I am looking here, Jose. Man, you are not kidding. There is so much news already on the MLS
It's a lot.
website. This is crazy. Just
Yeah.
trying to filter through all this so I can go ahead and put a QR code so people can just go ahead and scan it. Yeah, this is this is a lot. I mean, credit to all the different writers that MLS has writing different pieces, different articles. I mean, wow. I was not expecting to have to go ahead and search through this many articles. So we'll see if I can get the QR code posted before we end this show. But
Don't
don't stress about it. Is that what you were going to say?
don't stress about it, because at this point you're going to end up on page 6 or whatever. No, it's cool, right? Like, I think we didn't really talk about it, but I think there's some, maybe not patting on the back, but some recognizing. Thank you, Mike. There's the comment I was looking for. I knew it was coming. Having clicked through most of them, not every single one of them, I think the AI generated nonsense that MLS tried completely backfired. I think that much is clear. Every single piece that I saw that has gone up since my article came out on Sunday at 5:30 has been done by human, which is the way it's supposed to be, and I hope the way it stays. So we'll see. Then again, I didn't click on every single one of them. I was just spot checking as the days have gone on. But I think that they heard the response loud and clear. So I think you can expect humans only from here on out, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, thank you so much, Jose, for that clutch assist right there, so I can go ahead and find your article. It took me about 20 years, but we got it. So go ahead and click the QR code, scan it with your phone, and Jose's latest article on MLS's website shall come up there. I'll leave a link in the show description for you guys as well as always. But if you guys aren't following the podcast on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, follow at Free Kick Pod, wherever you get your podcast of The Free Kick. Check out the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Free Kick Pod. Live every single podcast on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. When apparently we don't get copyrighted, and then the copyright strike gets taken down by a company in Colombia. And you can go ahead and check out the goals breakdown video, which, by the way, I already know what the answer is going to be from you guys. The last couple of years, I haven't done goals breakdown videos for the playoffs. Should I do a goals breakdown video now for the playoffs? You guys are going to say yes, especially with 4 goals scored this Sunday. So I don't know why I'm asking, because you guys are going to say yes, always goals breakdown video. So I guess I'll get to working on that and post it sometime later this week, because you guys will tell me yes for sure. And if you guys want to go ahead and check out my writing or the podcast or the goals breakdown video all in one place, check out thefreekick.substack.com. But as always, you guys are the best part of the show. Jazz says, I will miss the next 2 if it goes 3. Chat well in my absence, guys. Come on, Jazz. We got to get you to continue to show up here. Best part of the show. you and the rest of the commenters. So I appreciate you guys, as Jose does as well, commenting, engaging with us on the show. All the people that don't chat, look, we see you guys listening, even though you're not saying anything. We appreciate you guys too. And all the people that retweet, like the post on social media, getting the word out, we appreciate you guys. We just want to give you guys the best coverage of the Philadelphia Union. We enjoy talking Philadelphia Union, and we're so glad that you guys enjoy listening to us talk Philadelphia Union. The next time Jose and I will be live, I'll be in Denver, and Jose will be back at home, which will feel odd because so many times I feel like Jose's traveling for work on a train in an airport, and now it's going to be me away while Jose is back in the home base holding it down. So hopefully all goes well. The internet stays stable, and I'm staying in Denver. But before we close out, go ahead, Jose.
Don't forget AAT Sports, Mike Barrera. Mike does an incredible job pre and post game. With it being an away game, I think we all can put our shoulder into it. My favorite phrase today, and be there and expect something, especially with fans not being not being at the stadium. Certainly give something for people to listen or see ahead of the game. So, Mike, I know you're probably still here, or maybe still scrolling through the Eagles Halloween party pictures, taking a look at the wives, what they dressed up as like. But yes, there should be a pre and post match game hosted by our very own Mike Barrera.
He is still here. He says, I shall be there on the show for sure, sir.
Multitasking.
There you go. But yeah, I'm glad you got that in, Jose. Well done. Well done to plug that show as well. We love all the content creators that are covering the Philadelphia Union, as you guys do as well. But with that said, my name is Todd, and this is the Free Kick Podcast.